Hey guys, I'm going to be working on my Tamiya Grasshopper 2 build series. In this video, I'm going to put together Servo, look at how I'm going to set up my ESC. I'll also attach it to the chassis, so I believe that's steps 6 through 10. I will confirm in the manual, but hope this helps you guys with your build. So to get started, I have the parts out. I'm just using the ESC that comes with the Tamiya kit, and then I have a cheap 3-wire servo. I bought this on AliExpress, but you could get them on Amazon too. And then you could see you need several different pieces that go onto the servo. And then also, I do not have a battery that has a Tamiya kit, so I got this connector because all of mine are Dean's plugs. They're a couple bucks, and it fits perfectly. And then the parts for your servo that you need are in the body tray. So go to the bag that has the body for the driver, and the servo parts are in there. It kind of shows which ones you need based off of what size servo you have. So just take a look at that, match it up, and the appropriate screw. It's a little tricky at first because I wasn't fully sure what size servo I had, but you could take your best shot and always change parts if need be. My son wanted to show you my receiver. I use a Dumbo RC. I just feel like it's a good one. And then I just switched back over to working on building the servo. This was a little tricky because when I was trying to line it up, it kind of seemed like it was angled a little bit. So you have to make sure you press it down all the way on. Otherwise, once you go to screw it in, it's going to be kind of leaning a little. So take your time, make sure you have it all the way on, the pieces are on correctly. And then once you get to screwing, it should be a whole lot easier for you. Yeah, so here I am just kind of taking it apart and trying to line it up right, because like I said, it was a bit of a struggle for me. It seemed like even though it fit, I couldn't get it to line up right, and it turns out I just didn't have it all the way on. You can see on the instruction manual, I wasn't sure of the sizing, so I did get that wrong at first, but it only took a minute to realize I had the wrong size piece on. And once you have the rest of it built together, again, make sure you have it on nice and secure, and then you're going to screw it in. Once you have your servo set up, make sure you test it. I did this off camera, but you want to connect your battery, make sure that the servo is reset to 0. That way when you go to trim, it's not all messed up. And then I begin with these swing arms, I guess you want to call them. I'm not really sure the correct terminology, but that is the next step because you're going to add those onto the servo. Be sure you pay attention here. You want to make sure you have them on the correct side, right? The left going to the left, the right going to the right. And if you look at the picture, the easy way to tell which side it should be is the wiring is on the bottom of the servo there. I did not catch that when I was first going through this. So I sized them up, I took my time, I thought I was doing the right thing. And then I went to install it into the chassis, and I'm like, hold on, there's not the right cutout here, it's not fitting. And that's because I had done it incorrectly. So I had to go ahead and remove how I line things up. And part of that is the bottom of the picture there, those two little rectangles, you screw those into your servo where the screw mounts are, and that's how you connect it to the chassis. So pay attention with that. It's a little tricky, but as long as you line up the wiring correctly, you should be fine. So look at the wiring, then you could tell which side is left and right, so the shorter one and the longer one. And then you should be good to go and won't make the same mistakes I did. Now that I have the servo set up correctly, it is time for me to attach it to the chassis. So I go ahead and line it up correctly, and then you're going to flip it over, and you could see where the screws go. That is a little bit tricky, because you have to hold the servo in place, you have to line up the screws, and they just kind of want to fall down in there. And you also have to screw this in and make sure that you're not going to break any of this plastic while doing so. I know a lot of people complain about the Tamiya plastics. This is my first kit in recent years, so I don't know how durable it is. I always had pretty good luck when I was younger, but we shall see if that has changed at all. So just be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to press too hard and break something. And you also want to make sure you line it up correctly. That way when you are steering your car, there's no issues. I had a hard time with this next step. It's installing the little pins where you're going to put the battery cover door over. It's hard to, one, fit a screwdriver down into this little hole, but you're holding it with your fingers on the opposite side, so it's digging into your fingers. It hurts. You don't have really a good way to go about it, so just be careful. Then I move on to installing the antenna holder. I don't even believe this kit comes with like the clear plastic straw type of thing. I could be wrong, but I don't remember seeing it in the kit. But that one was easy and straightforward, no issues there. And then the next thing that I move on to is the ESC, right? So I put the double-sided tape on and line it up, and I didn't realize that this ESC, where the power switch goes, does not fit because it's not the ESC that the kit used to come with, the Tamiya kit. So that kind of stinks. It is what it is, but I lined up the receiver, I lined up the ESC, and that concludes step 8. See you in the next part of the build video when we work on step 9.